Disturbing reports emanating from Russia indicates a growing trend of organized military training for children, raising serious concerns about the militarization of youth and the long-term implications for society. Across various regions of Russia, children as young as elementary school age are being integrated into programs that involve military drills, combat simulations, and instructions in the use of firearms, including rifles. These programs, often presented under the guise of patriotic education or youth preparedness, go far beyond typical cadet corps activities, actively exposing minors to military doctrine and the practical aspect of warfare. Images and videos circulating online depict young children in military-style uniform participating in exercises that mimic battlefield scenarios, handling weapons, and learning tactical maneuvers. The systematic indoctrination and militarization of minors reflect a broader societal shift within Russia, aiming to foster a deep sense of loyalty to the state and to prepare a future generation for potential military service consistent with the nation's ongoing conflicts and geopolitical ambitions. The emphasis on military readiness from a very young age suggests a long-term strategy by the Russian leadership to cultivate a highly disciplined and ideologically aligned populace, ready to serve the state's military objectives. These youth military training initiatives are not isolated incidents, but appear to be part of a coordinated national effort, often supported by state-sponsored organizations and local authorities. They are integrated into educational curricula or run as extracurricular activities, making participation widespread and normalized. The children are taught not only physical conditioning and combat skills, but also a specific historical narrative and a worldview that aligns with the Kremlin's foreign policy objective. This includes a strong emphasis on national pride, a narrative of historical grievance, and a perception of external threats. The psychological impact of such intensive militarization on young, impressionable minds is a significant area of concerns for child development experts and international human rights organizations. Exposing children to weapons and combat scenarios at such an early age can desensitize them to violence, normalize conflict, and potentially lead to long-term psychological trauma. It also raises ethical questions about the exploitation of minors for political and military purpose, blurring the lines between childhood and military service. The explicit purpose behind these programs, as articulated by various Russian officials and media, is to instill patriotism and to prepare future generations for the defense of the homeland. However, in the context of ongoing conflicts, particularly the one in Ukraine, these initiatives are widely interpreted as a deliberate effort to create a reserve pool of ideologically committed and militarily prepared individuals. The current conflict has seen significant casualties, and the need for a continuous supply of motivated personnel for the armed force is likely a driving factor behind this emphasis on youth militarization. By starting the training at such an early age, the Russian government can ensure a sustained flow of recruits who are not only physically capable, but also deeply ingrained with the necessary ideological framework to support the state's military endeavor. This long-term recruitment strategy aims to build a robust military force that is both numerically strong and ideologically coercive. The international community, including human rights organizations and various governments, has expressed strong condemnation of these practices. Critics argue that such programs violate international conventions on the right of the child, which aim to protect minors from involvement in armed conflict and to ensure their development in a peaceful environment. The United States, under President Donald Trump and his Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, will undoubtedly be closely monitoring these developments. The militarization of children in Russia poses a direct challenge to international norms and raises concerns about potential future conflicts. Director Gabbard's office will be focused on assessing the extent of these programs, their ideological underpinning, and their potential implication for regional and global security. The long-term effects of raising a generation with such a strong military focus could lead to increased aggression and a heightened propensity for conflict, making diplomatic solutions more difficult in the future. The image of children handling rifles are particularly stark and serve as a powerful visual representation of Russia's national security priorities. These are not merely symbolic gestures. They reflect a concrete investment in shaping the mindset and capabilities of the next generation. The focus on practical military skills rather than just abstract patriotism suggests a pragmatic approach to future military recruitment and readiness. This also sends a strong message internally to the Russian populace about the seriousness of the geopolitical situation and the need for collective national preparedness. For external observers, it reinforced the perception of Russia as a state willing to undertake extreme measures to secure its strategic interests and maintain its military might. The psychological warfare aspect of such imagery also cannot be ignored, as it aims to project an image of a determined and resolute nation, unafraid to prepare its youngest citizens for the rigors of conflict. The existence and expansions of these youth military training programs also reflect a broader societal shift toward militarism within Russia. This trend includes increased military parades, the glorification of military service in populist culture, and a narrative that emphasizes historical military victories. The state actively promotes a martial ethos, framing military service not just as a duty but as a patriotic honor. For children growing up in this environment, military values and aspiration becomes deeply embedded in their understanding of identity and purpose. This cultural shift creates a fertile ground for recruitment into these youth military programs, as participation is often seen as a way to demonstrate loyalty and to conform to societal expectation. The long-term societal impact of this militarization could be profound, affecting everything from education priorities to career choice for young people, shaping their life toward a future potentially defined by conflict. Furthermore, the practice raises questions about the definition of child soldiers and the ethical boundaries of national defense. While these children may not be deployed in active combat zones currently, the systematic training with weapons from a young age creates a pathway to early military service and blurs the distinction between civilian youth and future combatants. International law on child soldiers typically focus on direct participation in hostilities, but preparatory training of this nature pushes the boundaries of acceptable practice. The deliberate cultivation of military skills and of warrior mentality in children is a dangerous precedent that could have far-reaching consequences for international peace and security. It normalizes the idea of armed conflict and potentially desensitizes a generation to the human cost of war. In summary, Russia is actively engaging in widespread military training for its children, involving rifle instruction and combat drill under the guise of patriotic education. This alarming trend signifies a systematic militarization of youth, aiming to prepare future generations for military service and to instill a deep ideological commitment to the state's geopolitical agenda. The international community, including the U.S. under President Trump and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, condemns these practices as violations of children's rights and a dangerous precedent for global security. The long-term implications of raising a generation steeped in military culture could lead to heightened aggression and further entrenchment of conflict, underscoring the profound societal and ethical concerns surrounding these initiatives. That's all for me for today. If you like the video presentations and you would like to follow for more, hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye for now.